to the mid lane. Goes in for the shove. Up top, it's a fight. Hades gonna Hades gonna be caught now. Look at Revitalize coming down from both though. SOD to the back finding it, but now Hoda gets out just barely. Skypiercer from Curteezy to secure the double. Sanji versus 3 goes in front of Pursuit over to Hades. That's a 3v1 and Sanji's currently actually doing well in. Sano kiting back Sanji. Lantern Flare on him, Curteezy. Caught in the bad spot, still able to escape, and somehow Diablo was able to save Hades in that team fight. He was literally 1 HP and now he gets the turtle.
Of the Revitalize, there is a reason why this battle spell has been gaining so much pressure in the current meta. The ability to save people at the very end and even catch people off guard, right? It's because that healing is something you wouldn't typically expect. Diversion play, just to split off the bot lane. But I think by now, even our viewers are starting to get a sense of the dynamics between not just these lineups, but these two teams specifically. Twisted Mind wins the team fight if they're able to slow it down and play front to back with their full team around, while NIP Flash is going to win the fights if they're able to out-tempo their opponent.
Making sure he gets enough room and enough resources to scale up to be that late game threat. And we can see the items here. 6.9k ahead of Vanix despite being 1,000 gold behind NIP Flash. He already has a Skypiercer. He actually opted to go for the Hunter Strike and the Malefic Roar. So this is why you don't see a lot of the crazy burst that you see from the poke that we usually see from other Grangers. He's still building up to it. Now he's building up all the penetration. So once he does get, you know, maybe a BOD, some of the big chunky damage items, he'll start to hurt real bad. And you can already see he's on the way to it. That's a Legion Sword built up for both Suyo and Sano.
Double BOD timing is going to be a huge window for Twisted Minds, because that is when you're going to start seeing heroes like the Jawhead and the Alpha fall off just slightly in terms of damage and pressure. The diversion for the flank, they will be scouted out here.
Good conceal. Hoda needs to time it perfectly, doesn't get the timing. Hoda chain CC, Spear of Alpha. That was perfectly done. Ejector to the stun of the Law and Order and the Spear of Alpha. Oh, that was beautiful.
Yeah, a little bit of miscommunication there from Twisted Minds, where we saw 2 members walk out and the rest wait for something to happen. But I think they made the right choice of just abandoning Hoda on the spot, because I don't think that's a fight they're winning anymore.
Ejector again, Sanji gonna be caught, force a flicker out, Troll gonna be caught in the midst of it all as he pops in Revitalize. The SOD connected to the back, Vanix going in, Coffin will fall! Vanix with a flicker! And he gets a double! Only Hoda left standing. That could have been a wipeout, but he respawns just in time. NIP Flash get everything they wanted.
Flashes of timing, windows of opportunity, flashes of brilliance. Scattered team fights are the Singaporean representatives' specialty, and Twisted Minds giving it over to them. A beautiful Spear of Destruction by Vanix to catch out the back line. Once the front had already been melted, there was no reason for Twisted Minds to be that far up when they had already lost Hoda earlier. A mistake in rotation, snowballing into a massive gap, as NIP Flash have now built up a 5k net worth lead, and with the First Lord eager to open up the base of Twisted Minds.
I got to talk to Vanix the other day, you know, after getting the dub, I believe against, I forgot, the Moskov win. And he told me that the Moskov is just his comfort pick. So the fact that we are seeing him on the Moskov again, and the fact that it was kind of, you know, given to him, open to him, it's crazy, man. Vanix does incredible things on the Moskov. It's the safety of it in lane, just farming and then waiting for that one moment in the late game to go for a glorious pathway. Now, from Diablo, JPL's Conceal going to be cancelled out. Troll acting as a front line. Sano going in. Hades. Spear of Alpha over to Coffin. A bit of peel with the SOD and the Lantern Flare again. Double Spear of Misery. Hoda stunned together, and Kurt will just take all of these kills with the Skypiercer. It's a double. NIP Flash Spear of Alpha from Hades. Now with the winner crown, they're looking to slowly but surely dissect Twisted Minds. That's going to be JPL with Ejector coming down as well. Sano still able to kite away, but NIP Flash will continue their run and they will make it to the knockout stage of the M6 World Championship.
That means that Twisted Minds will have one final opportunity to make it into the knockout stage. Beautifully played by NIP Flash. Respect given all around to their opponents. They know how strong Twisted Minds can be in the mid to late game. They know how strong Granger can be with scaling. So they're simply not gonna allow them to reach that point in time. Ending the game before the 12-minute mark and solidifying their dominance as yet another squadron making it to the M6 knockouts.
Beautifully played. The composure as well from game one losing to reverse sweeping Twisted Minds.
I think we'll let our panelists take over.
A rule of thumb I've learned from watching NIP Flash games throughout history: if the Emperor cannot get his Cho in a situation where it calls for it, JPL will go for that jawhead. And they got the win, and NIP Flash are the third team to qualify for the knockout stages. Congratulations to NIP Flash, and of course, the Singapore region are probably very happy right now.
It's this play style and this depth of strategy and macro mechanics that you should be watching out for. They've gone, what, 8 seasons in? And their viewership is just rising. So if you enjoyed this matchup, all the more you should be tuning in to MPL SG.
They're very technical with the way they play the game, right? And that's why NIP Flash are currently on top of the world. At this point, now that they've qualified, at the very least, they can, take a step back, relax a little bit, and watch some of the other games and really prepare for what's up ahead. Because if Twisted Minds can figure them out in game number 1, I'm sure other teams are catching on to that scent.
In classic NIP Flash fashion, maybe not the cleanest way to start off a series, but then suddenly learning from their mistakes and, as Diablo mentioned in his quote about the Swiss stage, adaptation. They adapted very well to what Twisted Minds threw at them.
And they did not overthink. I like how clean Curtizi's ramp up into aggression was. Skypiercer, minute 4, minute 5, and the rest was just cinema.
Once again, now let's hear from the members of NIP Flash. If I heard it right, I think that's Hades and Curtizi alongside Rose. Let's see.
The third team in the M6 World Championship to advance to the knockout stages. NIP Flash from Singapore. And with me here we have Hades and Curtizi. Boys, how are you? Congratulations.
We feeling happy.
You're feeling happy? Kurt, how are you feeling?
Happy din po.
Also happy. Okay, now as we both know, you guys are imports. Now when you're an import, you're playing in another country, obviously there will be challenges. Let's start with Hades first. Hades, what is the biggest challenges you face as an import in Singapore?
I would say the food, because of course your comfort food will be the food in your own country, so it will be a big adjustment if you suddenly move out.
Yeah, speaking about the food, if I'm not mistaken, in a previous tournament, Curtizi, right? You only eat what? Chicken rice? So is that one of your biggest challenges?
What?
Food?
Apa.
Mahirap talaga?
Aba.
So what? Do you still just eat chicken rice now? Or do you eat the other stuff too?
Salted egg din po.
Salted egg. Okay, very Asian staple, but I hope you eat more food. Okay, let's start with you first. Now, who would you dedicate your current success to? Because we all know that you guys have been dominating the Singapore scene. Kanino mo i-dedicate yung success mo? Kasi alam naman natin na actually NIP Flash has been dominating in the Singapore scene din.
Sa pamilya ko po, kasi sa patuloy po nilang pagsusuporta sa akin.
Oh, you dedicate it to your family because of their continuous support. What about you, Hades?
Sa family ko rin po.
Family too? Okay, now Curtizi, we know that potentially you're gonna be another player if you win, okay? If you win M Series, this is gonna be your second world title. If you were to win, what would that mean for you?
Masaya po.
Just happy? What else? What else? Who would you dedicate that win to, or what attributed to your success?
para mabili ko po yung mga bagay na gusto.
So you can buy the things you want to buy. You know what? I agree. With the prize pool money, you're going to go into the shop and you're like, you know what? Just take. Don't have to think. Okay, now, Hades. This win, you guys qualifying for the knockout stages, just made NIP Flash went from underdog to a straight up contender. How does this feel like? Did you expect to actually make it to the knockout stages this early on?
Masaya po kasi parang nagbubunga na yung pagpra-practice namin. Tas siguro in-expect naman namin makalis ng Swiss stage. Tignan na natin kung makakapunta pa kami ng mas malayo sa playoffs.
He said that he feels really happy because he feels like the labor of their hard work is finally paying off. He does say that he did expect to actually get out of Swiss stage. However, them getting out of knockout stage, I guess we'll just have to see. Now, Curtizy, we know that you're known for your unorthodox hero pool in Singapore. Martis mid, Fanny mid, but how do you think you as an import helped the MLBB ecosystem in Singapore?
Ano po?
Alam naman natin lahat na kakilala ka as an orthodox mid laner because you would play Fanny mid, Martis mid. Pero sa tingin mo, paano ka nakatulong as an import or with your in-game knowledge to help the MLBB Singapore ecosystem?
Di ko po alam. Tinatry ko lang yung lahat ng hero sa mid and nagwo-work naman siya kaya ayun, tinry ko din sa M6, sa MPL. Yan.
He said he doesn't know how he's helping the Singapore MLBB ecosystem. He just tries whatever hero in the mid lane, and so far it's working out in both MPL and in the M6. You know what? I want to be like you one day. I want to try out heroes, weird heroes on the world stage. I like it, confident. Okay, Hades, last question. Now that there are already 3 teams in the knockout stages, there's still technically 5 slots, if I'm not mistaken, left. What do you have to say to the people who are yet to get their knockout stage ticket? Any words of motivation?
Good luck. May the best team get the slot.
Wow, I like that. Good luck and may the best team get the slot. First of all, thank you very much to Hades and Curtizy. Congratulations on the knockout stage. And with that, let's show it back to the panel to break down what happened in this game against Twisted Minds.
Congratulations again to NIP Flash. Well, what happened there, Rose, was it looks like Twisted Minds got the minds twisted again from NIP Flash. But again, nothing too crazy. Stuck to the basics. And a key point that we made, and even Staffa mentioned during the cast, was the front-to-back team fighting setup of Twisted Minds would have been messed up for NIP Flash if they tried to match that. So they said, you know what, we'll pick up our jawhead and fight this honest approach to the game in the best way possible, of course, where it's like you don't know where JPL is coming from, you don't know where NIP Flash is coming from.
Everything came in a flash, and I think that's what really threw off Twisted Minds' approach to a inevitable late game win. Truth be told, looking at this draft, by picking up that Granger, they also kind of wanted to go toe-to-toe. So they took some revisions from Game 1 and Game 2, lessons they learned, but when you're fighting on a front wherein NIP Flash is comfortable, very few teams can actually step up.
I mean, it's true. Let's look at the item builds, and then it goes to show there's a couple of things that are actually working out well, like a couple of ideas. Sano on this Granger versus the Moskov, he honestly didn't do too bad, right? It's 8.8k gold compared to 9.7 gold, and honestly, the KDA not too far apart with a couple more assists coming in from Vanix. But generally, my main issue in this particular game, if you are trying to go toe-to-toe against NIP Flash, there needs to be a couple of reads that you need to make. Once you see that mid-trio of, hey, I'm playing Alpha, I'm playing Zhu Xin, as well as that Jawhead. It could have been, at that point of time on the first phase, it could have been that high loss. Either way, why do you want to take them head on? If not, you would have gotten the Gatot so much earlier in the draft.
And they tried to do that, but then they found out, not gonna work out. So they started tossing bodies looking for Vanix, worked once in the early game, and then that's where NIP Flash stepped on the clutch and said, nah, that's the last time you're gonna do that.
Yeah.
And we'll wait. Now, to be fair, there was a moment in time, I'd say the 5 to 8 minute mark, where Twisted Minds were actually the ones calling the shots. This is where Sano was up on Vanix, maybe 1,000, 2,000 gold, and it's this beautiful adjustment in flow that NIP Flash just waited. And they said, Yeah, we'll go as 4 or 5, and then we'll suddenly find Hoda even more. We'll punish Sanji, we'll punish Troll, and that's what led to NIP Flash's inevitable victory.
Yeah, to give Twisted Minds more credit, yeah, you saw them readjust their approach. The play that Leo mentioned, wherein they sent Coffin into an unexpected angle, actually almost the entire team, to catch Vanix leading into the second turtle of the game, where yeah, Vanix just went, oh, he got shocked. But then NIP Flash stopped giving any opportunity for Twisted Minds to play into that, where it looked like you could sense, I don't know, maybe it's just me, I felt like I was kind of frustrated alongside Coffin, where it's just like, do I really have a diversion play? Like, where are they? Why can't I find them?
And why does he not have angles? Because there's no priority. You don't have people who push out the waves fast enough and then look to explore. I mean, sure, Granger could technically do that, but you're matching up against a Master Assassin Vanix on a Moskov, and what are you going to do? Open up the map with Death Sonata when you need it to be the finisher.
And not to mention Vision. Even if you do have Granger, Sano running around, throw in rondos into random bushes. That's the best way you can do it. Besides that, it's Troll walking into these bushes blind. That's what explains the 6 deaths. He was looking for his diversion setups. It's just costing them too much.
Hence why Coffin also couldn't go into playing around the map more, because he was focused on trying to just whittle down JPL and Curtizi every time they showed up.
I mean, looking at the stats, it's not like they weren't doing some good damage and absorbing some good damage, right? There were a couple of moments where Twisted Minds are able to look for that big counter engage. But if I were to make adjustments to the draft, I think that this Phoveus is a honey trap. Yes, it does well into certain matchups, but showing it so early on when you could have gone Gaton, if you show a flex pick, I show a flex pick, and now we're holding each other accountable in these stages of the game. And also, when you don't have mid priority, at least you need to have a lane that's capable of pushing out fast and then giving you that extra bit of pressure, which I think Gata would have done in that EXP side, but it's hard to read.
It's that hero tempo, the way that the draft unraveled, that makes us think that maybe NIP Flash's veterancy helps all the more, because they have just more tricks up their sleeves.
They really do. I mean, you got to give it up for our MVP on the high lows, the handsome devil himself, Diablo, because the way that he is baiting out these fights, it's not just about Jawhead, it's about why is he overextending? And the first time that it happened towards Sanji, he's like, you know what? Yeah, we can do this. My jungler is nearby. Let's make something happen here. And Hades just waiting in that bush, falling into that trap in the early game, allowed them to say, hey, now the top quadrant of the map is ours. You don't get to walk there. JPL, come on over. Let's set up some landmines.
And to be able to set that up, El Diablo Guapo actually had to be the clutch. It's his use of the Glorious Pathway that allowed for NIP Flash to disengage when they needed to, buy back that lead for Vanix, and then eventually get into that full-on dive, the honest full frontal assaults that just left Twisted Minds just...
Yeah, what hurts even more for Twisted Minds is after taking out the high loss for 2 straight games, the one game they let it through, it became the MVP, the rock of their formation that helped set up a lineup that had a Jawhead in the roam and a Juicin in the mid. Diablo popping off here. He really needed to have a great game because the high loss with a Revitalize, with a Glorious Pathway, was going to be the most stable part of this composition in the lineup that has a roam in mid that can be quite wildcardy.
Not to mention how Hades was just so local. You just notice as soon as Hades can cross the river, and Diablo said yes, he would do that. He would steal purples, just dive in, steal small camps, which, you know, gave him a less than ideal KDA, but it got the job done.
Exactly. That's why it's just strong fundamentals and good responses coming in from the side of NIP Flash. And I mean, not to mention, I mean, one of the few interactions I was hoping to see more often, but unfortunately didn't happen as often, Death Sonatas don't really matter to Hylos once the Glorious Pathway comes out. Remember, if you get hit by a Death Sonata, even one projectile, you get a bit of a slow. Hylos does not care when the Glorious Pathway drops through. He doesn't get slowed. He can just run at it, eat the shots, allowing the rest of his team to keep up with his speed.
This is a great example and great evidence as to why NIP Flash has found the success that they did with this high loss pick with a Revitalize on the hands of Diablo. It opens up unique possibilities in the center of the map for JPL and Curtizi. They just need that one rock in the EXP lane to hold on. Congratulations again to NIP Flash, the third team to qualify for the knockout stages, joining RRQ Hoshi and Fnatic Onyx Philippines. That's 3 champions. Oh, excuse me.
2
champions And of course, one runner-up from the MPL ID.
People's champion.
The People's Champion, I think, is a good way to put it. So 3 champions, technically, the People's Champion.
He was right.
I was right. So thank you for that. Anything else that you guys want to mention that maybe... I feel like this was a good learning experience for what might show up for the rest of the day. Anything that you guys want to point out that maybe we'll see more of as a common theme or trend for the rest of the day?
I think that, well, it's tough to say because our next match is going to be real exciting as well. And I'm not sure how that draft is going to work out, but I think that Twisted Minds, now that the goalposts have been pushed even further, they need to start talking about the way that they can actually help Hoda with some of his other picks, some of his more traditional assassins to play the map rather than purely team fighting.